It was that time of year when everything seemed to be in the richest coloring. The birds were singing in the trees and everywhere. It was very warm. A thunderstorm appeared on the horizon, and soon there was thunder and lightning, maybe like what we had yesterday on Whidbey Island. We had to hurry to shelter, but the storm was soon over and the clear sky appeared. When I came home, I opened my window towards the sea. There evidently had been a funeral, and the bells were playing the tune of When Eternity's Clock Calls My Saved Soul to Its Sabbath Rest. And that evening I wrote the song, O Sture Gut. Those are the words of Karl Boberg, a Swedish man who, in the 1880s, wrote O Sture Gut, or How Great Thou Art. He was blown away by the beauty around him and in the sheer power of God, the power of God through that thunderstorm, how quickly it came up and then again how quickly it cleared. And it's understandable. He was living on the coast of Sweden, and storms can blow up in those fjords really quite quickly and very easily. But the really interesting bit about this song, O Sture Gut, or How Great Thou Art, is how O Sture Gut became How Great Thou Art, because it didn't make it here to the US very quickly at all. A man from Estonia heard that song in Swedish and translated it into German in 1907, and then from the German it was translated to Russian in 1912, and it's made its way to Ukraine, where a British missionary named Stuart Hine heard it, again, in Russian. Well, he ended up translating most of it into English in the 1930s and 40s, and he presented it at like a missions conference or something like that, and one of Billy Graham's friends picked it up there. And it was sung at a Billy Graham crusade meeting in Toronto in 1955. And from there, because it was so popular, Billy Graham, well, he used it in most of his other crusades all over the US and the whole world. And even now today, we find it in Presbyterian hymnals, which is a wild story. Now, this wasn't the first English translation, but it did become the de facto translation because it's the only one that really ever kind of took off. But a Swede wrote a song that an Estonian translated to German, which then was picked up by a Russian who found its way to Ukraine, and then a Brit took it to England and translated it into English, and then brought it to the attention of a Canadian, and then to an American, and you know, it's now been translated from English into dozens and dozens and dozens of other languages. It makes me really curious how close How Great Thou Art is to O Sture Gut, because that's quite a game of international telephone. But at the end of the day, it shows how interconnected the body of Christ is. It transcends language, it transcends culture, it transcends people and geography and hemispheres. It is alive and big, and you and I, we probably couldn't even understand the majority of the Christians in the world if they were standing right in front of us, talking to us, which is amazing and beautiful and a little bit scary, but a lot of it wonderful, thinking about how big, how great God is, thou art. Anyway, until next time, peace be with you.